Hi, this is Kamera again. We're on day number 267. Books Obadiah and Jonah. We're discussing Jonah 1 through 4. Obadiah is one chapter. Jonah has 4 chapters, and those are books 31 and 32. Obadiah is a prophet of, well, who God used as a prophet to deliver a message to Edom. God is very upset with Edom. He says, because of your violence to your close relatives in Israel. He said they were like enemies. And because of their arrogance and their pride, thinking that they were so safe on those mountains with their fortress, he says, I will bring you crashing down. And he says, you should not have rejoiced when Judah was taken and how they were treated of their misfortune. You should not have spoken arrogantly in the terrible times. You should not have plundered Israel when they had suffered so much already. You should not have stood at the crossroads killing people who were trying to escape. Yeah, and you should not have captured survivors and that type of thing and handing them over. And he says, as you have done unto Israel, so it will happen to you. And so he says exiles from Israel will return one day to their land. The captive of Jerusalem who were exiled to the north, they're going to be returning as well. And they're going to basically inhabit the mountains of Edom. And Edom, there will be no survivors in Edom. So that's what he's saying in Obadiah, basically. So that's it. One chapter in Obadiah. And you guys already know I just took pieces out. Jonah, though, there's so much in Jonah. Jonah, this man here who God appointed as a prophet to go and warn Nineveh. God tells Jonah, get up and go to this great city, Nineveh. He says, announce my judgment against them. He says, I see how wicked they are. All their people are. So Jonah, when he got the message, doesn't really tell us about his conversation that he had with God. It just tells us that he goes to the port of Joppa and he decides to buy a ticket to in a whole nother direction away from God to Tarshish. So guys, I want to show you guys, God told Jonah to go to Nineveh, but he's going to Tarshish. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Look at the distance. You see where Nineveh and you see where Joppa and Nineveh are, but then you see where if he would have taken a boat in Joppa and gone all the way to Nineveh to Tarshish, that's a whole different direction. You guys see that? This is what I found and printed out right here. Okay, I have something else on the bottom here, but yeah, I found this on Google. But guys, I just want to show you the distance, how close he was to Nineveh, and how far he was to get to Tarshish. Yeah. Jonah said, oh, I don't think so. I'm going to run away from God and go in a whole different direction. I'm not going to do what God want me to do. So he boards this ship. He pays for passage to go to Tarshish. And what gets me is a storm occurs, right? And so the crew is all anxious and scared because like the boat is going to be ripped apart. This dude here, Jonah, he's asleep during the storm. Really? Number one, you can't run from God. Number two, dude, you don't hear all this chaos and you still trying to sleep through it? Reminds me of how when there's crap going on in our lives and how we try to ignore God and still do our craziness or allow crazy stuff to go on around us. Totally ignoring God can still stay in the midst of havoc of our lives. Get this. So what they do is they wake up Jonah and they say, hey, you need to pray to your God, see what's going on. And so he says, well, I already know what's going on. I mean, they question Jonah, of course, but Jonah's like, I already know what's going on. My God, who's God over the seas, he's upset with me. If you guys just throw me over, then everything will calm down. They didn't want to do that, so they prayed. And that prayer, there's so much to be said there, guys, when we think about the chaos that's going on in our lives, instead of just, changing our direction in life, a lot of times we'll stay there, but they were just praying. They didn't go away until Jonah, they threw him out. It's like, okay, why don't you just separate from your friends? That's another thing I picked up from that. Separate from your friends, all that chaos, right? And things will calm down. Sometimes you have to make those tough decisions. They made a tough call and they got rid of the problem and things leveled out. Jonah, though, in the sea, God go ahead and have this big fish to go and place Jonah in that fish. And so Jonah at that time, 3 days, 3 nights, he's in this fish. And he is thinking, I guess, that's his time of rest. He's forced to really look at the situation. And so he prays to God. And so notice that when God, he repents. Jonah repents. He's ready now to do what God wants him to do. So God gives him another chance. God spits the fish. And again, guys, see where he was going, where he should have gone, and where he was going. So he had to be up in this area, but God have the fish to take him back to Nineveh and spit some out on the shores of Nineveh. And so God tells him again, Jonah, deliver my message. So he goes through this city of Nineveh, this wicked city, and he delivers the message. It took him 3 days to walk that city to let them know that in 40 days God was going to overthrow this place. King hears about it. King strips his clothes. He fasts. And he sends out this declaration. You guys, this proclamation, we need to shut it down. Stop with the sin. Turn from your wicked ways. Stop the sinning. And let's fast. Nobody eats. The men, the women, the children, the animals, nobody eats. Perhaps God will change his mind. Well, of course, God is a merciful God. God did just that. He changed his mind. So Jonah notices nothing is going to happen. Jonah's upset. Oh my gosh. I told you before I even left my hometown, I didn't want to come. And I love what he said. I had to really point this out. He said, I told you when I was back home, I know you to be a gracious God. You're merciful. You're slow to anger. You have great kindness. And you're eager to turn back from destroying people. I don't like it. You should have destroyed them. Had me doing all this work. All this mess I went through. Those people are wicked. They deserve to die. That's what I'm just thinking about what he could have said. And he's upset. And God says him. And he says this. I knew you turn back from change your mind about killing those people. Just kill me now. Just kill me now. If you're not going to destroy them, kill me now. So God asked this one question. Is it right for you to be angry, Jonah? Is it right for you to be angry? Jonah's like, heads, yeah, okay. So Jonah, he goes to this spot and he sits and he waits for God to destroy Nineveh. And so while Jonah's waiting, God comforts him by creating this leafy tree or plant to shade Jonah, give him some comfort. So Jonah's so happy God's taking care of him. He's feeling good. And so the next day, God takes a worm and he has the worm to go ahead and destroy the tree. Now he's upset again. He's upset. And God asks him again, is it right for you to be angry? And so he says, yeah, you need to kill me. If you're not going to, whatever, just kill me. So God says, you didn't even create this plant. And I take it with a plant. You get angry at a plant. And he's like, that's 120,000 people. 120,000 people who I basically created. And you're mad because I showed them compassion. That's deep, guys. That's deep. And we can be guilty of that when we're supposed to be praying for people and we choose not to pray for people, especially if a person's done some wicked or bad things and God showed them mercy. We're not happy about that because we feel like they should have suffered. Yeah, but we serve a compassionate God. So there's a few things. People think that Jonah was upset. One of two reasons. Number one, there were wicked people in Nineveh. God should have just killed them. And if I stay out of it, God, they're going to get what they deserved. Jonah could have had that mindset. Or Jonah could have felt that, okay, you had me doing all this work and the prophecy isn't going to come true. So he rather for the people to die just to prove that he didn't waste his time, or that God used him to deliver the message. I don't know. The thing is, there was no love and there was no compassion. And I love the fact that fasting, there's so much to get out of this message. God shows so much in this message. And I recommend you guys, please take the time to read it and ask God to show us what he wants to show us. Number one, we see ourselves in Nineveh when we want to do our stuff the way we want to do it. And sometimes it takes a great warning for us to get it right. We see ourselves in Jonah. They deserve it. So why should we, just kill them, Lord? They deserve it. Another thing is, you having to do all this work. How is it that you didn't, I feel like I wasted my time. There's also where the friends, sometimes you have to cut yourself off from people. And sometimes you have to be forced. I can honestly say, I can see in my life where I had to be forced out of a situation, because I would have stood there and I would have been firm and I would have fought. I felt like I would have fought. I wouldn't let the devil run me away from anything. So I would have been like Jonah. I had to be forced out of a situation because I feel like I can handle the situation. There's so much in this story, how God repented of changed his mind about destroying those people. And once they set their mind, their heart to fast, that shows us that God hears and he takes it serious. He did it for Nineveh, he'll do it for us. There's just so much in this Jonah story. How when we are so distracted and we want to do our own things, how God put us in a quiet place, like where he put Jonah in that quiet place, sick beds, just some people prison, some people institutions, just different places, sick bed, wherever, or he'll take away certain things just to get our attention, like he did with Jonah, put him in that quiet place. There's just so much, guys. There's just so much. And I really did enjoy this read today. In Obadiah, we see where God was like, you didn't show compassion. You laughed at people while they were already down. You did some wicked stuff. And he told them, Edom, you're going down for what you did. So there's a lot here that we can get out of this. See ourselves in the people. See God, mercy, and his love through how he deal with a lot of this stuff. And there are times he really have to punish, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't like to punish people. That's why he was happy when Nineveh repented. So, and Jonah knew that. You're that God who hates to punish. I enjoyed this message. I thank God for this message. I pray that God gives us all the understanding we need in his word as we read his word, and just see his love and his compassion, his patience, how he took care of Jonah and tried to explain he trained, taught to Jonah, ministered to Jonah. He had compassion even on Jonah to show him and teach him why he did what he did, why he repented or relented in destroying Nineveh. So good, so good. So there you guys have it. Day number 267, we covered Obadiah and Jonah, chapter 1 through 4. We're starting a new book tomorrow. That book is Micah. Yeah, guys, you have a God-filled blessed day.